Hello and welcome to When I Stop Fighting, the podcast, where we talk about the fight or fights that so many of us engage in this lifetime, as well as ways to help alleviate those fights. My name is Daryl Dittmer. Let's get started.
Hey everybody. As we're wrapping up season 1 of When I Stop Fighting, the podcast, I want to tell everyone that I appreciate you joining us. I appreciate you listening and or watching, however you're doing that. And I wanted to let you know that I've put together some compilations on sobriety, recovery, on life advice stuff. Probably going to do some with some of the funny clips that we've had over time and some of the funny moments. So take a listen, take a look, and hope you enjoy them. We'll be doing that kind of throughout the holiday season. But as a reminder, for those of you that don't know, I am an author, and we do giveaways every single month from my website, which is Daryl Dittmer, DARYLDITTMER.com. And November, we're giving away a signed copy of my first book, When I Stop Fighting, The Unexpected Joy of Getting My Head Out of My Ass, as well as a signed copy of my second book, When You Stop Fighting, The Road You're On is Your Own Asphalt. So want to make you aware of that. And if you can take a listen, take a look, hit my website. We're going to be doing a lot of specials and things like that on the website for the books. My second book, actually, since it's a new release, is out right now. The ebook is only 99 cents, and that'll be for a limited time. So I'd love you to pick it up, read it, and let me know what you think. So be well and enjoy these compilations.
I've seen it myself 100 times, honestly, and with family, and family.
To AA.
I love my family, but that does not mean that I have to give everyone in my
Jung said, "Hey,
everyone in my family
you
time
find somebody that understands
because there are toxic humans.
You have to sit in the room with somebody that truly understands you, so that you can hear yourself in that other
that's
person.
The case. They can do whatever they want to do with their lives, but
is to be with other people who have been through it,
the decision comes
and will
from what
share
do I
their
need to do with
experience,
my
strength,
life
and hope with
to
you,
be able to align
and then you'll
with,
do the same
with
thing.
the
You'll keep
values
yourself
that I deem
sober
most
and
important, and
somewhat
I've been doing that for a long time now. But
somewhat
honestly,
healthy
even
by doing that with other
going
people.
through this stuff and from being a young person to
I guess,
being where I am
to just
now,
sum it up about what I feel about
it's
addiction,
a challenge
is we
all
have
the way
too
up.
much comfort,
It's a
not enough
challenge
cave.
all the way.
And back in the cave days, we would have had to earn everything.
Crucial.
Like our meals, it would have been the other day we stacked wood. I'm visiting my mom and my stepdad's home, and I'm in their basement in North Idaho right now. And we stacked 2 cords of wood. And it was my parents who were both in their 80s, my stepdad and my mom, my husband and I,
100%.
and then my youngest daughter was 20 and her boyfriend that was 21.
And it takes a while, because
we stacked these cords of wood, and there was
for me, there was a lot of
low-hanging
fruit that I needed to deal with.
We knew this wood was going to heat
their
home all winter long, and we did this
is how it showed up.
work together as a community,
those aren't
as a
necessarily
tribe,
choices
and there was something very deeply satisfying about it. And that's how we would have gathered food, cooked food, eaten together. We would have had all of these things that we would have been, wow,
we are not the person
congratulations,
that
us, we did it.
Because we have
survived the winter. We would have been able
all
to
the layers of conditioning from our environment,
delay gratification because our survival depended on it. But now I can push a button and I don't even have to leave my house.
Has been
I did those. I checked them off, and then I'm done.
I have clients,
it's over.
So that they as well
warm up the bus.
So it's been an amazing journey.
It doesn't work that way. It is a lifestyle, and that's how we attain that freedom, right? And one of the most important things to me about recovery
of the gifts that I've discovered within
number one, I have to take out all the garbage, and you had mentioned, the amends and cleaning up the wreckage and all that sort of thing.
I always
so to me, that's just taking out the garbage, and I think that is
the treasure
that's
that
crucial.
You are the treasure that you are seeking.
We can't have all that stuff that's still in us
because we have two different voices. I like to call it the boss voice and the bitch voice in our head. The boss voice wants us to do what we know we need to do on a daily basis. It helps us move forward, helps us become a better version.
And the
bitch voice in our head is the one that tells us, oh no, take it easy, don't do that, or it's scary over there, stay in your comfort zone and do all these things. But when you operate out of that, you're operating out of fear, and no one ever becomes great or does anything worthwhile in life when you live a life of fear. We live in a day and age right now where almost everyone operates out of fear, and that's why the world looks the way it does right now, is because people are afraid. And that's something that I'll never be. Yes, I have fears and stuff like that come up every once in a while, but as soon as I step into that fear, it's no longer scary because I've experienced, and I think a lot of people have a misconception of that, and that's ultimately what 75 Hard did for me. It's recalibrated my mind.
It's a very strong voice in the head.
You got to take accountability, and that's another
I was
thing.
Speaking with someone not too long ago about that very thing that it's, we,
and so when you begin taking
I think we grew up, and people who get addicted and go down that road,
the missteps that you took,
very
you say,
sensitive human beings. I think we're very sensitive human beings, and we're sensitive to
then you begin to
all of
grow,
the potential input, and we harden up over time. But I am. I mean, I'm a sensitive dude, and I spend a lot of my life trying not to be.
And
my story
the biggest area that we all struggle
with, keep this as brief as I can, but I was told by a mentor of mine, a long time ago, as I was wrestling and fighting and trying to change things and trying to just make things be different and holding on for dear life and all that kind of stuff. And he said, Daryl, when you stop fighting,
it might work
the fighting
for
stops.
getting a degree, but it does not work in relationships.
Damn.
I never told anyone what I needed or felt.
What does that mean?
And then it was some
but I've been working on that problem, quote unquote problem. I've been working on that equation ever since.
I couldn't tell people what I
this is going to come
needed,
off really,
or
there's
they were
a little
in
practice
love with
that I do sometimes
an empty
called
vessel
the
that was
butthole.
Pretending to be what
now,
they wanted them to
not
be.
as anal as it sounds. It's just
left,
when I find myself criticizing
and that old stuff,
I put a butt there.
I think
that person cut me off in traffic.
Often hesitate.
But haven't I ever made a mistake where I cut somebody off as well? That person gets too angry too quickly.
I knew there was some stuff down in there.
Backstory?
Otherwise, why would I be doing all
so
this
I just
shit,
used the
right?
butt, and I just that's a rabbit hole right there. So I call it the rabbit butt hole.
So I was afraid
it's just
if
basically
I started therapy or recovery, I would be ripping the Band-Aid off of all that stuff, and it was
basically just a thing I just go into
and overwhelming.
I don't always do it perfectly, but when I catch myself criticizing someone, I'll try to put it back on myself.
Recovery program,
and then it gets back into that paradox
to be free. Not
where
only
it's
am I not
I don't know,
locked up or legal issues, but
loop.
I just feel free. I can go about my day and live my life without having to bow down to alcohol or other stuff.
And it doesn't mean I have to believe it all, right? It just means take what you can use and leave the rest. And it's really cool to be able to draw from different philosophies, as opposed to
whatever that is. But
here's your box of stuff when you're young. Here's what you're allowed to believe. And then we unravel all that stuff, right? As time goes on,
right?
And
that's
that's our charge.
My story,
for me, that's my charge. And it sounds like that's your charge.
Abuse of drugs and alcohol, and then sobriety. But the interesting part of it is I needed to get rid of the drugs and alcohol to experience.
Because the way, and we've talked a little bit on Twitter, and maybe before
the 12 steps was a great sort of starting point.
What I was doing before wasn't working.
To be introduced to a different way of living, first of all, just a very different set of instructions for life than what we're accustomed to.
That's something that's been the greatest thing that I've applied to my life is auditing who I'm giving my time to, because
so that's not a difficult
trying to achieve or what you're working
in terms
towards,
of getting my head around it.
You need to really limit the time with those people, because
over
they
the course
have
of time.
And then I had to dive into power other things. You. And you may not think so, but I promise you, it is very, very true. It goes very far with that.
about God,
it does.
higher power, universal
I've had this discussion with my sons
I'm
a ton
believer that
about
the less you define it, the better off.
Values. Your values have to align,
because then I don't have to project it on somebody else. I can have it.
It's okay.
And it's
everybody
mine,
can live their life the way they want to, and that's fine.
Nobody has to believe the way I
believe. Judgment thing. It's just
really
if our values don't align,
and it's not something that I would ever go back to. So
a relationship,
so I feel like,
whether it be
an
one of the most
important
or a business relationship or whatever, if values don't align,
a little
it's
outside of what mainstream AA might say is
I would say that
you don't have to drink again
for a long
you
time.
Just don't.
Until I started
it's
the
not
healing,
this
I
little,
was in that
this little thing on
I
my shoulder
always
that's,
blame
constantly
everything around.
pecking at me. It's just not,
the
and it hasn't
healing
been for a
journey
long
has
time. And I
helped
think
me to
that's
realize
something
that
I want to let people know that they can look forward to.
Reflection
right?
of what is inside of me. And
the thing
that's
was,
what I was projecting out, and I was
as I
attracting
started
those
to
kind
practice
of
the
energies
honesty,
and those
as I
kind
started
of
to be
people
more open-minded to
because
getting
I was
help,
so
as I
wounded.
started to
And
really participate.
You said courage because
the thing that I fell in love with after a while
everybody
was
that
like
goes
I
through
just
the
loved the
healing
results
process,
I was getting in
it is
life
an act
once
of
I like
courage,
fully dove into recovery and sobriety.
We've got to be around other people.
It's hard.
I mean, that's another cliche thing. You want to be
basis,
around. You want to get rich, hang out with rich people. You want to get
it really is. And
good recovery, hang out with people with good recovery. You got to get into the
like
rhythm of whatever it is that you want. You want to write a musical, you better get in a workshop with a bunch of people.
I would walk in.
You want to be a healer. You better get yourself in some healing.
Look, like I'm not an alcoholic, or I can't relate to this.
So
and it was the same
just
thing for
do
me.
it.
It was like
and put yourself in the presence
people were talking
of people
about
who are doing
everything that they had lost in life as a result of drinking and using. And the thing was, and this is why I feel like it can be hard when you're younger, is like if you haven't gone through it,
and it's not always pleasant.
It be very unpleasant.
Stick with
but
the
life
winners.
hands me what I need to move forward.
Succeeding,
and it shows me the
in
lessons.
Getting their lives
and
to work.
If I don't get it the first time, it'll keep showing me.
That's so. Oh, that's so.
And how the hell does that work? But it does.
Because there's a lot of people that'll get rid of the drinking and drugs or whatever the addiction is, or whatever the issue is, and that
something
can be
out there
set aside
knows
for a
more
period
than
of time. But unless I'm around people
I
that are
always
healing
look at
the
it
mechanism,
like
and the mechanism is me, and the mechanism is them healing themselves. I've
been doing it for a long time, but
I'm time ago that
and I look at life this way. I am in
sober or not sober. If
I
lay down with dogs
until the day I die, and then we'll see what happens. And I don't know.
I don't mean that in terms of just the
and
people necessarily, but it's just if we hang out with
the
people
spiritual practices and principles that my mother had taught me in Buddhism, that I had been learning for 20 plus years in New Thought.
And we can't afford to have that friction because that hits us
see that
where we're sensitive and we are sensitive.
For myself, taking that time for myself in the mornings.
Hopefully we get sober
in
and
my contemplation
start healing
of life,
the old wounds.
In my ability to let go of what my husband is doing or what my kids are doing is the greatest gift that I can not only give myself but to give to them. That if I really want to help
within
them,
all of us,
the greatest
who is
gift
hurting
that I can give
in there
them
and
is
needs
for me
our
to help
support. I know that's kind of touchy-feely shit right there. A lot of people don't want to stay with me on that one, but
whatever.
Yeah,
that's great. I love it because when you said that, what came into my brain was one of the worst things I had to admit at some point because I wanted to be a tough guy. I wanted to be, a badass. I wanted to be Rambo. I wanted to be all this and that. But the realization that I came to that really sucked was I was a scared little kid.
Now, a couple plus years in, I think, my biggest ally and my biggest adversary are the same person. And it just goes to, like I've had, my sponsor told me, Brian, there's only two people you need to learn how to love: yourself and your enemies. And I'm telling you, most of the time it's the same person. So, I believe right now in my journey that I am my limiting belief. It's me that stops me from getting stuff done. And whether that limiting belief is just throwing up my hands and saying, I can't do this, this is not going to happen. But the biggest lesson in recovery for me is that if I don't stop, it can get done.
I call them pretty shiny things, right? I have a disease of more, different, better. And that's what I kind of talk about in my book. And, you know, Scrooge's master passion was gain. He was trying to have so much and there wasn't enough for him. Like I've always said, like, Prince Charming could show up at my front door on a white horse and he wouldn't be good enough for me, because addiction is about like this deep inner satisfaction, and you're looking at external things to fix internal things. And I do believe it does start with something external, you know, and it changes your brain. And for me, I believe sugar's the gateway drug. I didn't believe that in the beginning.
The sober recovery lifestyle is the absolute opposite of that lying, cheating, stealing lifestyle. And I think of it like it's like I'm a snake shedding my old skin. You know, I'm just kind of wriggling out of this thing and wriggling out of all that madness and how I feel about things, and you know, life sucking and life being complex. You had mentioned, you know, the complexities of debt and the lies and telling people you're sober and having to remember and all that sort of stuff. That's a really complex lifestyle to live. I don't think we're designed to live that way.
And it was so frustrating that my formula for making myself happy was not working. It wasn't working. The degree didn't make me happy. The men, and that's when I got so pissed. I started using a lot more. I didn't really escalate my alcohol and marijuana use until grad school when I was about 30. And I thought, what the hell am I doing here with all these smart people? And remember, I had the whispered lie, which that's a theme in Worry Less Now. Is, you know, the committee in our heads, I call it whispered lies. You know, it was telling me if you don't succeed, you won't be loved. And the anxiety level was just, you know, so immediately I found my bar that I would go to every night, and I found a guy who grew his own marijuana to live with, and, you know, that's how I got through it. And thank God I did get through it. I didn't use or drink during the day. So anyway, I was very, very grateful to discover that I'm not exactly nuts, except for the disease of alcoholism and being affected by the family having alcoholism.